U.S. Congressman Jim Himes, a Democrat for Connecticut. He's on the Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Congressman Himes, I've been reading your stuff, reading your quotes. You voted no today. Why?
I did. Well, Chris, two big things. One, we just gave up our leverage on Constitution Day to do something the Constitution demands that we do, which is to authorize this kind of activity. Now we're off to war without a congressional authorization, and that's not a good thing. Number two, Chris, it's bad enough to be on one side of a civil war. We're now on two sides of the same civil war with a group of people that will be arming and training that we do not control. We won't really know who they are, and we really won't predict the outcome until we're underway, and we are getting, in all likelihood, blamed for the activities that this group will undertake.
When we train and arm these people, we think are going to be fighting ISIS. They could be fighting Assad. They could be fighting through al-Nusra, us. How do we know? What kind of guarantees do you hear we're getting that the arms and the training we give to this group in Syria will be used against ISIS and not against somebody we don't want them fighting?
Well, Chris, guarantee is not a word you use in the Middle East. And of course, what you do is you assume, and if you look at what happened in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Libya, you assume that the plans that you make and what you think you're going to achieve probably aren't going to happen. So, yes, how are we going to know that these guys, and I've met some of them, are in fact going to go after ISIS because we tell them to? They hate Assad. They're going to go after Assad. So what do? And I expressed this concern to the White House. Do we tell them that on one day they go after Assad? On the next day, they go after another group that is also fighting Assad, that is fighting, again, both sides of a civil war.
John McCain says that this group was formed to fight Assad in Damascus. It was not formed to fight ISIS.
Well, that's true. Look, these are, and as I said, I've met some of these guys, and they are people who have been badly abused by Assad. Now, ISIS is a, profound threat to them, as they are to many people in the world, but it is not clear, again, what their mission will be. Is their mission anti-Assad, or is their mission anti-ISIS? And by the way, if it's both, do they have the capability to do two missions at once?
Well, today the president insisted the United States won't get involved militarily, at least on the combat ground forces against ISIS. Let's watch.
I want to be clear. The American forces that have been deployed to Iraq do not and will not have a combat mission. As your commander-in-chief, I will not commit you and the rest of our armed forces to fighting another ground war in Iraq. After a decade of massive ground deployments, it is more effective to use our unique capabilities in support of partners on the ground so they can secure their own country's futures. And that's the only solution that will succeed over the long term.
This is the strangest war in the world. We're fighting a war the American people say they want us to fight, but also say in our latest polling in Wall Street Journal and NBC, they don't think we'll win. Also, we're fighting a war without our army. What kind of war is this? Where we're hoping to find the Hessians out there somewhere. And the Hessians, by the way, lost to us in a war. You got to find another army. If you want to fight a war but you don't want to fight it, how do you win it?
You're asking me that question, Chris?
Yes, sir.
Look, I take the president at his word when he says he's not going to commit ground forces. The reality is that the American public is not going to tolerate a major commitment of ground forces. Now, there will be those who say that you can't get rid of a group like ISIS without people on the ground, right? They will not be our people. I take the president at his word, but, are we expecting the Saudis to provide those ground forces? And by the way, why aren't we talking about the only way you eliminate these groups, which is by doing away with the conditions that give rise to these groups? Political repression, lack of economic possibilities, the fact that an awful lot of our allies in the region are actually funding these groups. Until we change those things on the ground, we can bomb these guys into caves, but they'll still be there. We can put boots on the ground, as we have in Afghanistan and Iraq, but guess what? They're still in Afghanistan and Iraq. So we got to be thinking a little deeper than just a military approach here.
Okay, thank you so much, Congressman Jim Himes, for joining us today. Secretary